Human beings are genuinely fascinating. We've spent thousands of years evolving, trying to find comfort, to find the path of least resistance. And yet, we will happily endure a stiff neck, a sore back, or absolute impracticality as long as we look incredibly cool doing it. It's a design philosophy as old as time. Form over function. Choosing the aesthetic, the vibe, the silhouette over raw, unadulterated practicality. In the motorcycling world, it's the reason why cafe racers with back-breaking clip-ons exist. It's why we buy helmets that look like space helmets but whistle at 60 kmph. Because we want the romance. We want the story. Which brings us to this, the Triumph Tracker 400. On paper, it's the sixth motorcycle in Triumph's rapidly expanding entry-level lineup. In the flesh, it's a visual exercise in rebellion. But is it a true flat tracker, or is it just playing dress-up? Let's find out.
If you look at the Triumph 400 family right now, it makes a lot of sense. The Speed 400 is your friendly, everyday roadster. The Scrambler 400 genuinely wants to get its boots dirty. The Tucson 400, well, that's your committed corner carving cafe racer. So where does this tracker fit in? At 2.46 lakh, it sits right in the crosshairs of motorcycles like the Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450 Apex. And visually, Triumph has absolutely nailed the brief. You get this gorgeous flat tracker inspired silhouette, the flatter rear subframe straight from the Tucson, a fly screen, those chunky block pattern tires, and the twin barrel exhaust lifted from the Scrambler.
I know styling is always subjective, but looking at this thing in the flesh, it just works, especially in this yellow. There's a very short, very elite list of iconic vehicles that can actually pull off a yellow. For example, Lamborghinis, the Volkswagen Beetle, even Bumblebee's Camaro for that matter. And I think the Triumph Tracker 400 has just snuck up onto that list. It looks spectacular.
But I do have one small gripe. This black here, Triumph, if you're listening, you should have shipped this blank. Let the rider slap on their own custom number or initials. It would cost next to nothing, but it would make every single Tracker 400 on the road feel truly unique to its owner. Missed opportunity there.
But let's talk of the heart of the matter. And this is where things get interesting for us here in India. When the Tracker was launched globally, it carried the same 398cc that we have come to know. But due to the revised GST norms, Bajaj and Triumph went back to the drawing board and tweaked the internals, resulting in this, a 349cc engine.
Does that mean it's lost its punch? Not quite.
Now I'm living like a rolling stone.
Triumph gave this the aggressive Tucson 400 tune, and that makes all the difference. Combine that extra power with the brappy note from the Scrambler's twin barrel exhaust, and the Tracker feels genuinely eager. It's highly refined initially, but the buzz is real once you cross 4,000 RPM. Vibrations creep in and scale up with the revs. Below 6,000 RPM, it isn't dead, but it lacks the immediate pep of the older 398cc engine. The magic happens late. You feel a distinct surge past 6,000 RPM, but the absolute sweet spot is all the way past 8,000 RPM. This means your usable everyday power band is narrow. To stay in the fun zone, you have to keep it boiling at the top of the rev band. Now, how often are you realistically going to do that in daily traffic? Not very, but on open, empty roads, keeping this motor boiling is an absolute treat.
It's time to address the elephant in the room, the name. Is this an actual flat tracker? Well, if you want to take this to a dirt oval, drop a foot and slide it like a Jared Mills, you're going to hit a literal snag.
The ergonomics are actually a beautiful middle ground for the street. You aren't sitting as upright as you would on the Speed 400, but it's also not as committed as you are on the Thruxton. With rear set foot pegs and that wide drag style handlebar, it's commanding and aggressive, yet perfectly comfortable for city commuting or a Sunday ride. But true flat tracking requires you to sit right on the ball of the seat, slammed against the tank to weight the front end. On the Tracker 400, the tank is shaped with these sharp edges. When you try to slide forward and grip it, it just doesn't let you. It fights your knees. Bajaj and Triumph have been honest about this. It is a flat tracker inspired design, not a purpose-built race machine.
And you know what? That is perfectly fine. Because where I'd love to ride this bike is exactly where we are. In this slightly committed, elbows out posture, tipping the tracker into corners feels completely intuitive. A large part of that composure is the suspension, which shares its tune with the Thruxton 400. I think Triumph has hit a beautiful sweet spot here. It's a mature setup that doesn't break your back over urban potholes, yet it holds its line perfectly without upsetting the chassis when you load it up through a bend.
You do have to keep the tires in mind though. These block pattern tires look undeniably cool. They are essentially to the tracker look. And while you'd expect a block pattern tire to feel vague or skittish on smooth asphalt, these actually surprise me. They offer an abundance of dry grip and make it incredibly fickable. We even ended up riding this bike through heavy rain and even in treacherous wet conditions. The water channeling and wet tarmac grip were completely reassuring.
So, does the Triumph Tracker 400 make sense in India? Well, if you're someone who seeks sense from your life in every aspect, the Speed 400 is still the most sensible roadster in the Triumph lineup. Getting your boots dirty while covering some serious miles, the Scrambler is your best bet. Want to drop jaws wherever you arrive? The Thruxton does it undeniably well. But motorcycles aren't always about serving a purpose or being meaningful in their existence. The Tracker just proves that. You can't classify it in any conventional segment. It is a 2.46 lakh showstopper that can also dance around twisties. So yeah, that just proves flipping off the rulebook doesn't mean building a bad motorcycle. It just means building one with a lot of character.
That's when you win.